Part 6 of John, and we're starting at chapter 4, verse 7. It's a little bit confusing, but I'm going to try to explain something here. And I think in a couple of videos back, I was saying Samara or Sumerian, Sumerian is from a distant land. What I'm going to have to do is I got to show you that this woman from this city here, because let's see, up here, the text I done in the last video, the city by Samara called this. Now this has to be corrected at some point other than right now, for the simple fact that there is no such thing as Samara. First of all, we know in the text, the four Gospels, they all talk about three regions at the time Jesus is born, or not, as excuse me, as one region. Everything was one under this guy named Herod, who I've renamed Gerard, for the simple fact that I don't want to have two different names when you do a search. So you'll get used to this and then not have any questions, but it'll be easier to search. I'm thinking of the future here. So the thing here is this, but remember, he killed all those children, so there had to be an upheaval, and they even actually called it a kingdom. Well, Rome didn't have, this was Rome. Rome did not allow a kingdom to be within their empire. Okay, excuse me. So I know how goofy this people get, and they tell me I'm wrong, but the object is it doesn't make any sense when we know the text, the other three books specifically tell us that there's these regions that Jesus is going to, and when he gets there, okay? So the thing here is when this text is now introducing this area, Samara, I went and looked it up on the internet. Okay, here it is. I did this city in the Bible. Okay, and what happens is some of these maps that you see down here, they're a little bit small, so you can't see them. But here, let me show you something. Here, I think you should be able to see this. They're calling this Samara. Okay. Now, if you notice how the rivers are back and forth here, well, there's this highway that Jesus is going to travel on to get back up here to Nazareth right now. And the thing here is they're saying that the well of Jacob is here. Well, but there's problems with what they're saying here. But I want to, I want to just get here, and I want to show you another map. Okay, here, this one's, well, they don't have it divided here. Let me see, they got it. See how they got it divided? Now, when Nebuchadnezzar ordered the rebuilding, one of them, can't remember who, ordered the rebuilding of Jerusalem, they went back to their land and understood that their land is still like one called Israel, the nation of Israel. But the thing is when you see them dividing up the territory, it goes back to the old reference of Judah down here, from right straight across here is Judah. From here up into here, this is known as Galilee. See how they got it labeled as Galilee? And then this, they say this is a territory, but it's actually just a city over here. But because the text is so crazy, it is saying that these areas were established, but how? When the fact is that we know that when they were assigned, they went back to build up the city of Jerusalem, and so it would have been known as, from the time that they did this, that this area is still known as Israel. And so when Rome came in, they didn't go dividing these all up. And what I'm thinking here is that when you see the text, when you see the text, it's now this city, okay? here, it's up here. Went to a city by Samara called this here, Sychar. Well, the only thing is if we look again in, I did have Sychar up here. Okay. Um, Here's a map that they say by Jacob's Well. Okay. Um, and here I don't really have that. Really isn't a good map that I want to see what's this one here. See, okay, here it is. I don't know if you can see it, but let me draw here a little bit. This here is where they're saying it's at. This here is saying Samara. Okay, see all this? Now see this word right here? This is actually the old area. Oops, that one. But it is the old area. It's the whole area over here. Okay, and that's how it was. It was divided like 1, 2, and it's made 3. Like, and then the Jordan River kind of divided it. But this was known as the territory that we're talking about, or the land area that we're talking about. But they got this created area for text that's just not true. Okay. Now, that's because when you look at the other gospels and read them and study them, we have these 3 regions. Okay. And these are the ones that I tried to show you. Now, the well for Jacob has to be around this area for the simple fact that when he left, okay, he never returned back. So the thing here is how did I come up with this area as where it's at? Well, it talks about Lot and Abraham, and then Lot choosing the area around the river, this valley of the river. Okay, this valley. So it has to be Abraham lives on the other side, but he has to also have access to this area, or had access to the area, and then it was divided among them. Okay, and you have to know that they had to travel a ways um, to herd their sheep. Sheep, when they eat, they're taking the whole root. So the herd that they've got is probably quite large, that they have to move these herds from spot to spot. And also this road that you see that I got going down here, that is the highway that I keep talking about that runs right through Israel, because all these rivers come back and forth, so it has to run right down the middle. Now, they sold Joseph to the travelers along this road. So if they had traveled a little bit, because this is only a couple miles, so it's within reason that this is a good area, a good spot. They weren't really here. Somewhere in through here is where I'm pretty sure Abraham, Isaac, and Esau and Jacob lived before Esau left, he went down, he created Edom, and then Israel went to Egypt. Now, if they're calling this area Samara, and there's this city around here, which I don't have, see, they're calling it down in here, in this area here, okay? So let me make sure that's what they were saying. Yeah, because it's halfway between these two, halfway. So halfway, I don't, yeah, here's I don't know, you can see up here just a little bit and up here. So halfway. So they've got it somewhere in here, and I've got it a little bit more than halfway, I guess. But the object is that these are the territories designated by Rome. Samaria just does not exist. Okay. But now what we'd have is over here, and whatever this old highway is. When I blew these maps up, you can see there's geographical underneath here. And when I got these maps, they were huge, and this is all reduced down. But when they were huge, I tried to walk what I would think as the quickest way to go through without up and down hills and going around. Try to take always the lowest valley of the area. And that's how these roads were designed by me. So like this path over here, this one is described how Jacob or Joshua conquered the promised land, how he came down here, took out this kingdom, and there's another one along here, and then he went up into here, and then over here. But the object is these roads are told in the text. But right now, the text for the four Gospels say that these are the only areas that existed, and there's no really such thing as a kingdom for that first Herod. Because let's put it this way, you go and look at what our creators told Nebuchadnezzar about giving him that vision of 5 kingdoms, okay? So the thing here is and they were large, like world powers is what he was talking about when he gave him that vision. And that little area there ain't no world power. So that people got to understand that that's just wrong, okay? But so it's not from Samaria, but it's from this city, okay? And I'm going to have to put this city on the map for this set of text that I'm doing here. And then when it comes down here, he doesn't have disciples at this time. This story is actually coming from, because I put all the text together to just let you know, that in the first year of our Lord, that the favorable year of our Lord, this is how it's described in the text, that our Creator said, in 1 year your king is going to do this. You're going to be aware of him in the favorable year of your Lord. That's Jesus / King. Now here, he has to be in Jerusalem to start the beginning of the year. Now he's going to go back to Nazareth, and then we're going to have that story in Nazareth about him reading the scrolls. But on the path, this seems to be the other story. Now, there's another story that's not here yet. I don't know if it's in this text or not. I'm trying to think. But it's where he heals a boy who is blind from birth, but he is born without eyes. That was what was so special about him. He was just blind. He had no eyes, and Jesus made the mud, put it on his eyes, as though, just as the text in Genesis says, he made man from mud or from clay and rubbed it on his eyes. He created his eyes and says, you can now see. And he were made special for me to tell you for this, to show people who I am. So these would have been the followers that are with them. They aren't disciples, okay? Now I know this might be a video just of these verses right here, but a lot's got to be said about how I'm correcting this text, all right? Now we have just followers, not disciples, okay? And now there's this woman they're saying a Samaritan woman, and we know that territory does not exist. The Romans would not allow that. They're already designated. One was Herod, that they said he was over this whole area. And now somebody has said, well, because the word Samaria is here, well, this is here and these are over here. No, the text says exactly where I'm showing these to you on the map. But this Samaritan woman asks, how can you be he can't be a Jew. It's one of the funniest things that you ever know, because Jew is a disbeliever, okay? They don't believe in our Creator. They believe in the female goddess, and they live their life that way. So you being an Israeli is the truthful words. When I'm writing these, I'm making sure that the Jews are the Hebrew that don't believe our Creator anymore, and Israelis are the true path uh, that do believe our Creator exists and following His commands. So it has to be Israelis here. Now, the conversation is, she continues this, how can you be an Israeli, ask me for a drink, for I had to put in half Ethiopian. How did I come up with this? Okay, this is where the fun part gets, because I've really tried to explain that if the Samaritans are there, the thing that they aren't there, and we know that when I think it was Nebuchadnezzar said to reestablish Jerusalem, or it was the next king for a couple of years, the very end of the kingdom of Babylon, sent them down to rebuild Jerusalem, that they were all told to come back to their lands. They wouldn't have divided up, that they would have come back to the land of their forefathers, which they would have been saying, I'm not a Nazarene. I am from Zebulun. I am from Asher. I am from Simon. That way people knew that in their head, they knew exactly where they were from. So the thing here is to say that she's a Samaritan isn't that can't be true. So the thing here is I figured it has to be her skin color that says that she was a foreigner, which means she was not a true Hebrew or a true Israeli, because the skin color would have been there. They would have talked to, but Israelis are supposed to stay away from her, but they're commanded not to intermingle with other races. No matter what's happening in the land, the true believers were not to intermarry and that type of thing. So here, it has to be something that this woman would know by the way she looks that Jesus should not have been talking to her. Okay. So it has to be a skin color that when her parents married, her skin is different color. Okay. So when I'm putting down the word half Ethiopian, that means she married an Israeli male, married a black woman, okay, from Ethiopia. Now, that would have created a different skin color. But what you're seeing here is this added text here. No, that is not true. It doesn't make any sense when you really know all the text. Because down here, see this text in yellow? You are not greater than our forefather Jacob. So now she has to be a descendant from a true Israeli who had intermarried. And then she is now the daughter. She is now the wife of a true Israeli, or she is truly this daughter from these two, because the women that went to get water were the young women, okay? So if she's young and she's got this color that she knows she's intermarried, but her mother is truly believing that Israeli, married to an Israeli descent, and that would be, let's see, what was that, Manasseh's area? Let me get the 12 tribes here. These 12, she would have to say that she's a Manasseh, okay, a descendant, okay. So here this is Joseph's two sons that were intermarried. Joseph intermarried because he was in Egypt. But the object is that this is Joseph's son, this is Joseph's son, And you know Joseph was the last born son. That's why this territory went to East Manasseh. The land is actually arranged according to the way they camped around his tent for meeting, because he ordered them that by birth you are to march by your families in this order, and then you camp by this order. In three in the south, three on the, I'm going to say on the east, three on the west. And the object here is I don't know which one's first or second. Right offhand, I know that I had to rearrange all these, because the only truth that we've got of how the order of these were born are the way the book couldn't change. They couldn't change this text, or they changed the text, but they can't change this. These are well established for 1,000 years. So they would have come back to the land. They would have stayed to this, and this is how it stayed that way. And you couldn't lie to them at that time, like, hey, no, your people lived over here. No, that isn't true. Their forefathers came back. They knew where they were to go, and they were to live. Now, being that a West Manasseh, a descendant that far away from Egypt, wouldn't have shown up as that kind of a color difference on the skin tone. So, but when she's saying you are not greater, are you not greater? Are you not greater than our? That doesn't sound right when I'm reading it real quick. But the object here is that she's understanding our forefather. She's understanding the male lineage that she was born under, but she has to have this different skin color to say these words. Okay. So that's why all this whole video pretty much is trying to prove that, or no, not trying to prove, but tell you this is not true. Disciples is not true. It has to be followers at the time. And she has to be a skin color that would make her different, that her mother was an Ethiopian. So the other thing is, because we know from Solomon's time, Ethiopians came to Jerusalem. So this is why I'm saying it was visible for her. Because Jesus, he would have been in the traditional clothing from the time of Noah, which would have been ram hides and a belt around your waist. Okay. They kept that tradition up. So they were easily knowing as Israelis, the true followers of our Creator, would have kept this dress because that's their history. That's the way they live. So the thing here is that text got cleaned up. And then when I'm going to clean this up here, now comes this hard part for the word forgive. And let's see. The text over here, when you see this, you can see this is what's going on here. It's kind of, therefore said to him, how is it that you being a Jew, which you know, listen to the word Jew. Okay. See how they got a Judah, a Judy? And like I said, I've talked before, or told people before, that when the last kingdom of Judah was around, they might have started calling themselves Judeans. But the ones that started going away from our Creator, they were known as the Jews. They're separated and there's name difference. But the thing here is since I'm smart, we have now that done. It says, give me a drink, you would have asked, and Jesus is speaking in third person, him, and him, being a third person again, would have given you living water. Now, let's take a look at living. Okay. Now, here it's used as live water, life water, lives. So, living water, alive. Well, the only thing is living water. What does that really kind of mean when people are trying to translate this verse? Our souls exist forever since our Creator made them. Our Creator is, he wasn't was, he is not the first, he's not the last, he is. So what we have here is the writer's not understanding that the soul exists forever. And that's the whole idea here. When you read the Hebrew text and the four Gospels, you know that whatever in the Hebrew side better be carried over here into the four Gospels, and that is that the soul cannot die. So you can't ask for what is known as living water, this everlasting living water type of thing. So the thing here is Jesus can't be saying living water, and you can see here I'm removing that. So I'm left with the word given, okay? Now, let's take a look at that again over here on the screen. It's given. So we go over here and permitted and stuff like that, given, give us, commanded, okay? And then I think if I go down a little bit farther, we've got some more, but not many. So these are the majority, and it seems give is used quite a bit, 230 times. So the thing here is I'm stuck with the word give. Okay. Now, Jesus knows he's going to, he is king now, and he's on his way, and he's going to start, he's done a few healings, and this woman they're meeting, well, his followers gone, now have this woman appearing. How do I get to the word forgive you? Well, that he knows he's going to be the king, so he knows he's going to be able to forgive to give in, to get into heaven. But the object is he cannot forgive as forgiving. See how I've got a different color down here? If I'm talking about I forgive to enter into heaven, okay, that means to stop from sinning. Now, it wasn't the woman's fault that she was born not in the right, she has to live with the way she is. And even though our Creator had commanded them not to intermingle with the races, so the thing here is that is not really a sin. There are only 12 sins, and those are not obeying the 12 commandments, because for our Creator to find they bring a sin offering for not obeying the 12 commandments. So anybody teaching other than that as sin is just stupid. They don't know what the whole tent was made for and everything to go with it to atone for their sin. Now, but the word forgive here asks me to forgive you. Now, this would be to allow her to come into his kingdom, even though that she is born not being able to follow the rules, but she is a true believer that she is still an Israeli from one of the sons there, Manasseh or Ephraim. But the object is that because she is saying here, you are not greater than our forefather Jacob, okay? Now here, I have to have a word up here that kind of goes with what she's saying, because she says, you are not greater than our forefather Jacob, meaning how could you expect you to forgive me? See, the word, it's really hard to come up with a word for this position right here. And I know that that's why I'm making these videos, to record all my thoughts and explain why I'm doing these. And if people are going to be coming to this video for this one here, and it has to be, well, they're probably coming for the Ethiopian, how they get with that. But the object is it has to be to forgive you. And then she's saying, well, you're no greater than our forefather Jacob, who dug this well and drank from it, and himself and his sons. meaning that she understands the importance of Jacob. Okay, so how are you sit there and try to forgive me? You know, I can't think of another word. Okay, if I do, I will change that. But right now, this, I guess, should not be a bold word. Should be like this, I guess, to make it right. To forgive you, meaning Jesus is going to forgive you. Maybe it shouldn't be capital at all, except for the first letter. Maybe I do this. Boy, this looks so odd, though. Yep, that's spelled right, but it looks so odd. Um, so that's what I've got here. Okay. But the object is I wanted to really explain. Now, it took me 30 minutes to go through these verses. Okay. So I just wanted to let you know that you know what I'm saying here, and I don't want to, I'm going to have to make this video up again in shorts areas or something to say that how this text is the way it's going to be. Um, from a I am half Ethiopian. That also means that she's the daughter. She's young enough that she's going out to get water, but she's truly a believer because the Ethiopian mother is well aware she married an Israeli and believes as her husband does, a true believer. But he didn't follow the rule. I didn't follow the command from our Creator. Okay. And then Jesus says, whoever drinks of this water will thirst again. Whoever drinks the water I give them, meaning he's aware of what he's going to be able to give them, will never thirst again. Now these are different meanings to what the word is thirst and what word water means when Jesus is talking, because now he's defining one as water here, but who drinks the water I give them is his gospel of his kingdom. They will never thirst again, meaning if you can't get a higher reward than to enter into heaven. Okay. So then it is my water I will give them, be for their afterlife. Not a well to spring up eternally to have life with them. This is not truthful words here. This is for those that the bad guys are editing this. This is part of their practice that they're talking about fluids that they can feel in their body moving from time to time at different times of the year. But I added to be for their afterlife, meaning what I'm saying here is what Jesus is referring to, the water that he's going to be giving them is his knowledge of heaven. He is their king, I am he, and I will let you in. Okay. So then the woman asked, well, please give me your water so I will not be thirsty or come at all and draw. Well, this is just not needed. Nor come all way here and draw. This is this is just wrong. That's not needed. It's the saying, so I will not be thirsty. Then Jesus is going to prove this water that he's given her. And he says, go and bring me your husband to me. Okay. Now she is not a little girl anymore. Well, I was describing. Now she is a adult that she is now, even though that she's half from her born that way. Now she has married an Israeli male. Okay. And it says, your husband to come to me. All right. Now I'm going to get down here. And the woman replied, I have no husband. Jesus said, you said, I have no husband. You have had 5 husbands. Now this I don't need. This is just one whom you now have and your husband. No. you have had 5 husbands, meaning that now this woman is not, um, she's more of a whore here, okay? That she's can't stay with one husband. So this is now kind of like I need to go up here and say, should um, ask me for a drink, for I'm a whore. Okay, so that might be the answer here to this truth of what needs to be done, because here it's, well, she's not a whore, she's not selling herself. Um, so here she's tried, but she's married, and I don't think there was 5. Okay, but anyways, Jesus is telling her history, like he knows her lifetime. Okay, and then she gets all excited because the woman replied, "I had no husband." And Jesus says, "No, you've had 5." And the woman says, "I think you are a prophet." Now, there is the secret that she has to be truly believing in uh, the Israeli way of life. So everything I've said about her being a Ethiopian, and it would have been her skin color that they're not getting along with when she's got different husbands. Um, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to 2 husbands, 2, and that way it's more truthful, because after 5, how old is she that she can go get water? If she's 2, she's still pretty young. So I'm going to give her 2 husbands, and that way she's not some abused woman. It's just that the first one, she left, maybe like when they got married young, got tired of her, and he left. He wasn't, but her new husband, um, or her husband that she married that's left now, the second one, was he faithful to the Israeli way? It doesn't reflect that because he's leaving her. But we don't know if he's writing a letter of your divorce because I found you playing around. Maybe he not found out about the first one, or she didn't tell him about the first one. But herself, she was raised as an Israeli. She is raised that way. So she still has these understandings. And that would be why um, why now I come back here and say that, yes, half Ethiopian sounds correct because it's their skin color or the difference. And then Jesus is showing that he knows more, and this is the water that he's trying to prove to her right then. And she says, "That I perceive, but I think you're a prophet. You couldn't know that I had 2. I've had 2 husbands." Okay. Um, and our forefathers offered by that hill. Now, when it says our forefathers offered by that hill, was this where Isaac, or no, Abraham was going to offer Isaac around that area? This text says that it's in this area. So that means that, like I said, when Abraham, Isaac, and Esau and Jacob lived there, or Israel lived there, um, this is now saying that it's offered by that hill, not this hill, but that hill. You don't build a well on top of a hill. You have to go too far for water. So it has to be in a valley. So it has to be that hill over there that they were offering on when Abraham and all his descendants were, when they were alive, did their offering to our Creator over there. Now, um, people say that Jerusalem is where we are to offer. So now it's kind of like the thing here is I have time for this. This is good. This is going to be a great video when people come back because the simple fact getting a lot of information out of this one. Now here, whoops, I didn't even put number 2 SVTWO. It's our fathers didn't worship, but they offered. Okay. They were offering the best that they had to our Creator, and he would bless them with more. Okay, so this is the object of what they were offering. If you understand Cain and Abel's offering, uh, whatever they done, they brought the best of whatever they had. Okay, so here, now we know that this area is Abraham. So this story is true, and we have a location, the best that I can. I'm pretty sure what's going on there. And now what we do is the only information we have is along that road we have a city, and she's from that area. But the object here is that she's saying now in Jerusalem is where we are to offer. Well, it is so corrupt down there, and they still want you to bring your offering. They're down there. They're wanting probably collecting money like the Catholic Church collects money. The stupid, evil stuff, and they're asking for money, even though they weren't to offer money. There's no such thing as a tithe when you go and look at the text itself. But the object here is the real text, not this made up stuff. But the object here is that she is probably saying that place is more important over there than Jerusalem right now. And I can understand her having this strong belief that why she's involved in this story, to say that the children of these intermarriages, the children were still ended up becoming Israelis, and because they grew up in that strong Israeli background as being onto our Creator. Everything else is a false religion, false teaching. We don't have a religion. We have knowledge that our Creator exists. So the question is that now what's going to happen here, that Jesus is going to reply to that. He says to her, believe me, the hour is coming when neither that hill nor in Jerusalem will they offer to our Father. For the simple fact that we now know that when Jesus is replying, he also knows that after he's there, he also knows that what's going to happen to Jerusalem is the Romans are going to come and tear it down, everything. So that's what Jesus is referring to here when he says that. But I'm going to pick up the text here when I go into the next video. But I just wanted to get this far to say that this is the completed of, didn't get through a lot of verses this time, but a lot of information of what people will wonder, how did I get to that news or this information? In fact, I'm going to probably even go up here and take this and put it into the title so people know will be easy access to get it. Just trying to find where I ended right here. All right, next video will be coming up.